We're looking at more rain rolling in later this afternoon. I'll show you how that will affect your evening commute.
Rallying for school building safety and repairs. The action teachers want state leaders to take to address their issues.
Also coming in hot, the first inflation data for 2025 shows inflation perked up more than expected.
Anything but hot out there. It's another cold and wet day in the Triangle. In fact, it's a WRAL weather alert day. This is a live look from the WRAL storm tracker on Capitol Boulevard headed toward Wake Forest. We're keeping an eye on the wet roads for you this lunch hour. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Renee Chu.
And I'm Jeff Hogan. Thanks for joining us. It is just nasty out there today, much like yesterday. We have a low-end risk for flooding that is headed our way this afternoon. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner is here right now, the WRAL Severe Weather Center, with a look at how much more rain we could see today.
We had a significant amount in the last 2 days. It's been about an average of an inch around the Triangle area, a little bit more than that to the north, a little bit less to the south. Right now, we're looking at a little bit of a break. There's still a lot of wet conditions, a little drizzle happening out there. We'll see some redeveloping rain later this afternoon, and that will come in about the time for the evening commute. So it looks like it's going to be fairly messy. We just had a view of Storm Tracker. It is headed up US 1, their Capitol Boulevard, up toward Wake Forest. And Brett Neese is in the Storm Tracker right now. And Brett, how's it looking out there?
Hey, Elizabeth. We are seeing some rain come down here on the northern part of Raleigh. We're going to turn this camera back around here in the WRAL Storm Tracker. You can see some of that wet roads and the water kicking up from the back of the tires there, causing us to really have to use these windshield wipers. Roads are wet. There is some slight ponding here and there, but for the most part, the rain isn't as heavy as it was this morning. And what we expect as we head up towards Wake Forest, we're expecting to run into maybe the lingering showers up there. And of course, there's going to be more rain this afternoon, like you just said. But so far, so good on the roads. Not seeing any issues out there, but we'll continue to check in with you, Elizabeth.
Brett, thanks so much. I see you're bundled up in your coat with your scarf on because it is really unpleasant out there. Would you like to see that change? Look at this warm front right here. This is all the warm air here. That warm front will lift up across our area later today. It is going to bring some rain along with it, but it will deliver warming temperatures overnight tonight and into the day tomorrow. So I think a lot of folks will be happy to see that. We take a look at Futurecast. Right now, of course, we're watching some rain move out to the east and then followed by another round this afternoon. We'll pause it right there at around 3 o'clock. Fairly widespread at 3 o'clock, and then it just keeps on coming through the evening commute. At 5 o'clock, almost everybody's seeing some rain, a little bit lighter down in our southern counties, and then that continues overnight. We should dry out a little bit as that warm front moves northward, but then a cold front follows it during the day tomorrow, and that may mean some wet conditions for the morning commute. It's still chilly out there. 39 Fayetteville, Clinton, 34 Roxborough, 38 Rocky Mount, 40 degrees in Durham, and it's going to stay chilly all day. Temperatures holding in the low 40s, and again, some chances for showers later on today. Coming up, we're going to talk more about how much rain we've seen total and how much more we will see. Could be another inch tonight into tomorrow.
Just be sure you have the WRAL News app with notifications turned on, and we'll alert you to changing weather conditions and traffic issues we find across the viewing area.
It is not your imagination. A new report out today shows you are paying more for goods and services than you were a year ago. Inflation hit 3% for the first time since June. WRAL's Laura Levine explains mainstream economists largely agree that Trump's tariff plan will reignite inflation and slow U.S. economic growth.
The cost of living for the everyday American and how much we pay at places like the grocery store here is a major concern for the everyday American. And now the latest inflation report indicates that the cost of food and energy continued to climb in January, hitting 3% for the first time since June of last year. Consumer prices rose 0.5% from December, resulting in an annual inflation rate of 3%. That's according to the latest Consumer Price Index data released today. This is higher than what economists expected. So this means prices are still rising faster than what we are used to in this last decade before the pandemic. And complicating the picture are the uncertain impacts of new policies under the Trump administration, like tariffs, which could exacerbate inflationary pressures in the months to come. With local gas prices experiencing already a seasonal uptick, an expert with Gas Buddy tells me how we will have to keep an eye on that potential economic impact as well. However, he says North Carolina oil industry likely won't take a direct hit from those tariffs.
A lot of your gasoline flows up from the Gulf of Mexico refineries, that kind of area, Texas and Louisiana. So you'd be less susceptible in Raleigh to things like tariff impacts on Canada and Mexico. There still could be low-level impacts of maybe a few cents a gallon, but the primary areas for concern if tariffs are implemented on Canada or Mexico would most likely be the northeastern United States.
Now, today's report comes as investors debate if and when the Federal Reserve will cut interest rates for this new year. That's something that we will keep an eye out for. Laura Levine, WRAL News in Raleigh.
Well, the Fed won't be in a rush to cut interest rates, and Wall Street reacting negatively to that inflation report. Take a look. The Dow is down 200 points. About 30 minutes ago, it was down 300 points. S&P 500 also in the red, down about 20 points, and the Nasdaq just dipped back into the red, down 8 points.
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, following some breaking news out of Washington, D.C., Tulsi Gabbard has been confirmed by the Senate as President Trump's Director of National Intelligence. A 52-48 vote. It was largely along party lines. Nearly all Republicans present voting in favor of Gabbard. Senator Mitch McConnell was the only Republican who joined all Democrats in voting against her. Gabbard had previously been a longtime Democrat. Last October, she announced that she was joining the Republican Party, and she endorsed Trump.
A new 25% tariff on steel imports could raise costs for construction on new schools in our area. Right now, 4 new schools are being built in Wake County. For Felton Grove High School in Apex, there's a $12.6 million bid for the cost of labor and materials. The representative says the tariff adds $1.5 million to that project. Economists we spoke with say that there's no way to avoid those added costs.
You can imagine that these tariffs are going to manifest pretty quickly into rising construction costs.
The U.S. does manufacture materials like steel, but competition could drive up the price of domestic goods as well.
Whether it's HVAC issues, pest control, or safety concerns, many Wake County teachers are calling on state lawmakers to make much-needed improvements. WRAL's Destiny Patterson joins us live with a preview of a rally designed to voice their concerns. Destiny.
Well, the last school year, I have covered at least a dozen different schools that have had to dismiss early due to classrooms being either too hot or too cold. And just in the last 30 minutes, the school district has confirmed with me that the number is actually 28 schools that has closed at least once this school year due to these issues. Now, the Association of Educators is calling out these HVAC issues. The district has pointed to understaffing and aging equipment for those HVAC issues. Last night, officials also pointed out that new tariffs could increase the cost for equipment and construction, as you guys just mentioned. NCAE says staff reported other unsafe conditions, including mold, pests, and security issues. And now they're calling on the county. They're demanding a bond to fix what they call a crisis. That rally gets started here at 5:30, and I'll be here to talk to those concerned staff members and parents to hear them out. Destiny Patterson, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
The runway in D.C. involved in the fatal collision of American Airlines plane and a military helicopter has now reopened. Reagan National Airport's runway 33 has been closed since January 29th. Runway 33 is a secondary runway used to alleviate traffic. Its closure caused the FAA to limit the number of arrivals there per hour. The FAA now says helicopters should be permanently restricted in the same airspace as commercial jets at Reagan National. A temporary ban is currently in place for helicopters. A decision on helicopter restrictions at the airport is expected after the NTSB wraps up its preliminary report.
An American teacher wrongfully detained in a Russian prison for more than 3 years is back in the U.S. Mark Fogel was flown out on a private jet from Moscow belonging to President Trump's Middle East envoy. The Kremlin exchanged Fogel for a convicted Russian money launderer who ran a multi-billion-dollar cryptocurrency exchange that did business with drug dealers and identity thieves. The prisoner exchange comes as negotiations to end the war in Ukraine loom. Russian President Vladimir Putin insists he will talk but not compromise. Today, the state Senate will vote on something that would affect you and your insurance company, specifically whether additional illnesses should be allowed on the list of services insurance companies are required to cover. The Republican-backed bill looks to cap the types of medical coverage insurance must pay for if any new procedures are mandated in the future. Something that is currently on the list would need to be removed. About half of insurance policies in North Carolina would be affected if the bill becomes law. Lawmakers who support the bill say it's needed because of rising health care costs. Opponents worry it will keep people from getting the procedures they need.
In just about 2 hours, RDU International will welcome the first passengers to fly from Montego Bay, Jamaica, on board of Velo Airlines. This direct flight from Jamaica is expected to arrive at about 2:20 this afternoon. And don't worry, be happy. We're going to try to hold off the rain because a water cannon is going to greet them on the tarmac. Velo has 2 new international flights to and from RDU. The other new destination is Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic. It launches later this month.
And back here in the WRAL Live Center, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame has just announced their shortlist for the 2025 class of inductees. And there are 14 names on the list, including Chubby Checker, Mariah Carey, Outkast, Bad Company, Fish, and Cyndi Lauper. Some of those making a repeat appearance on the ballot, including Mariah Carey. To be eligible for a nomination, artists have to be at least 25 years out from the release of their first commercial recording. Winners will be announced in late April.
Michelle, thanks. Next at noon, sex abuse allegations. What more than 100 people in Illinois are saying about the State Department of Juvenile Justice.
Also, 1 year out from the Winter Olympics, how the venues are looking in Italy and how Team USA is shaping up.
Plus, state flu and COVID numbers at 12:30. The brand new North Carolina numbers as the country sees an uptick.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.
More than 130 adults are suing the Illinois Department of Juvenile Justice over alleged sex abuse.
I might be judged for it, I don't know, but my fear of being judged is way, way less than fear of injustice.
And the men say the alleged abuse happened between 1996 and 2023 in youth detention facilities across that state. The attorney for the plaintiffs says the system promised rehabilitation but served as a pipeline for suffering. One of the men spoke about an alleged assault.
I was in my cell when the correctional officer who was supposed to protect and supervise me and the other kids assaulted me. He held me down and covered my mouth so I couldn't call for help.
The Illinois Department of Juvenile Justice would not comment on the lawsuit, but it says it takes seriously the safety of youth in the care of the department. About 800 people have come forward with claims, but some do not want to move forward with that litigation.
A $10 million settlement with the family of a woman who was shot by an Illinois sheriff's deputy receives unanimous approval.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Resolution 17 is adopted.
Sonia Massey was shot in her home last summer. She called 911 to report a prowler. While responding to her call, Deputy Sean Grayson shot her while she was putting a pot of hot water on the floor. Massey's mother called 911 the day before the shooting, saying her daughter was having a mental breakdown. Grayson was fired and is in jail, charged with first-degree murder.
We're just 1 year away from the Winter Olympics in Milan, Italy, and American athletes are keeping their eyes on the prize. Jalen Koff won silver in moguls in Beijing. Erin Jackson looks to defend her gold medal in the 500-meter long track speed skating event. Jackson's the first black woman to win a winter gold medal in an individual sport.
So once you find yourself, at the top of the podium, it's a totally different mindset for staying there. So I'm just really looking forward to, bringing my A game and really making sure that I'm ready.
Well, of course, you want to get back there, right? Koff is coming off a sweep in the World Cup moguls and dual moguls in Utah, where she extended her podium streak for 8 straight events now.
It was this day 11 years ago when snowpocalypse became infamous in the Triangle's weather history. Meteorologist Chris Michaels breaks down how this perfect storm came to be.
It was the perfect storm. Snow began falling in the triangle around noon, but it came down fast and furious, accumulating at a rate of about an inch an hour. Schools dismissed early, and people tried to rush back home. Traffic becoming a nightmare in an instant. By 1 p.m., it was gridlock. Cars were stranded on the side of the road, stuck in the snow. We got 4 to 5 inches of it in a short amount of time before things changed to sleet and then to freezing rain around 4:30 p.m. As the sun set, a glaze of ice lay on the newly fallen snow, and the internet went wild.
And that was Chris Michaels reporting. Weather on the internet is much different 11 years later. Tonight on WRAL, we speak with a local photographer and storm chaser about how AI has found its way into weather photography.
And that brings us to our live poll today. We want to know, what do you remember from 2014's snowpocalypse? Submit your answer by scanning the QR code on your screen, or you can go to WRAL.com/yourvoice, and we'll share the results in our next half hour. What do you remember? 2014. Oh, I was but a child then.
It's an example of how several inches can paralyze the region, and all timing too. And we don't just get snow, we get that frozen stuff, and it just made a mess. Elizabeth, certainly you remember.
I do remember. Yeah. And the times that we have the most problems is when snow starts in the middle of the day. If it starts overnight, people see it on the roads and they don't go out. But if they don't see it, even though we're forecasting it, they go anyway. And then it's just really messy trying to get everybody home. Nothing frozen for the rest of the day. We did have a little bit of light glazing of freezing rain up near the Virginia line overnight and early this morning. None of that caused any problems that we could find anywhere. And we're seeing just a little bit of a break in the precipitation right now, but streets are wet and it's really chilly out here. We're going to go back to Wake Forest there, where the storm tracker is taking a look at the streets, and we will show you how it looks out there. Again, the windshield wipers have been going. The streets are on the wet side, so we appreciate Brett being out there. All right, we take a look at the rainfall totals. We've seen 1.5 inches in Fuquay-Varina, almost an inch here in Raleigh, about 3/4 of an inch in Lewisburg, about an inch in Rocky Mount and in Wilson. And that's going to be since midnight. We did see a little bit of rain yesterday as well. So we're seeing some of those totals, 1/2 inch to over an inch in spots. 3/4 of an inch since midnight in Sanford, a little over that in Irwin, but a little over 1/4 of an inch in Fayetteville. We have not seen as much rain in our southern counties. We take a look at our flood risk for today. It's a low risk for flooding. Fortunately, we have not seen, a lot of rain in terms of how much is really piled up in the rain gauges. It's been steady, and so we haven't had any reports of flooding, which is great news. But still, we have more rain in our forecast for late this afternoon and this evening during the evening commute. That is going to make most likely for a very slow and somewhat difficult commute, potentially just because of the rain that we'll see. Chilly temperatures, too, a good 10 to 15 degrees below normal today. And of course, as I mentioned, we have that rainy commute in our forecast for later on today. Taking a look at our forecast, we'll jump on out. Of course, Futurecast showing dry conditions right now, but that does not last long. At 1 o'clock, we start to see some showers approaching from the west. By 2 or 3 o'clock, it's spread across our viewing area again. Some pockets will be heavy. You can see the yellow and orange color contours moving through. Notice we don't see any of those pink contours in our area. That's all well to our north. That would be, again, some more freezing rain, but we're not expecting any more of it here. We did have ice in this tree earlier this morning, and honestly, when you look past the buildings there here in Roxborough, it looks like there's still some ice in the trees there, but it's melted out of this tree for whatever it's worth, and the streets are still on the damp side. 40 degrees currently in the Triangle area. Right now it is 36 in Roxborough and in South Hill, 39 in Fayetteville, but there is a wind chill. It feels like 30 in Southern Pines, 32 in Rocky Mount, and 30 in South Hill. So it is a very chilly afternoon out there. Our temperatures will climb into the low to mid 40s. Here comes our warm front. That warm front lifting northward brings some rain, but it also brings the warmer temperatures. Right now, we're seeing our wind at the surface coming out of the northeast, but overnight, this front begins to lift northward, and as it does, watch how the wind changes. It'll start to come out of the south, and watch that, just woof, all of a sudden, we're going to see those warm temperatures moving on in. If it'll go out, there we go, by midnight, look at that. Big change. So temperatures, instead of cooling down tonight, will actually warm up. We'll keep it in the 40s for tomorrow morning, and then high 66 tomorrow. We do have some rain in the forecast for tomorrow coming up. I'll time that out and show you how it could affect your morning commute.
Elizabeth, thanks. More kids committing crimes. New data released by the North Carolina Department of Public Safety shows the number of juvenile detentions has increased over the past 5 years. What officials are doing to reverse the trend. That's at 4.
Then at 5, retail pet sales. Backlash over a now closed pet store in downtown Raleigh has brought attention to the retail sale of animals citywide. How advocates hope banning the sales will stop animal abuse. Plus, still ahead this noon, ticket time. The effort to make some theaters advertise the real start time for your movie.
Plus, the history of hosts, from actors to athletes, even musicians. Some of the big names who've hosted Saturday Night Live next. 50 years of Saturday Night Live has seen 167 cast members perform in 980 episodes. Each one of those episodes had a host. Mark Barger takes a look back at a few.
Talk about a live show. George Carlin was the first, but more than 650 actors, athletes, musicians, and others have followed hosting SNL.
The nerves are insane. It's in between like laughing, crying, puking, and it's pretty amazing.
Alec Baldwin's hosted the most.
And this is my 17th time. Thank you.
While 25 others have hosted at least 5 times.
Jacket boy!
Martin Short's the latest to earn the coveted 5-Timers Club jacket.
It's live television. Anything can happen.
Michael Keaton's taken the reins 4 times, and each visit came in a different decade.
Man, I am excited to be back here. It operates so smoothly now. It's kind of insane to do this. They do this every week, well, almost every week.
Weeks that are demanding for a host, even stage veterans.
It's like being shot from a cannon. It's a crazy process.
Drew Barrymore experienced it.
I love video games.
When she was just 7, SNL's youngest host.
But I really have to thank Facebook.
While 88-year-old Betty White wrote a grassroots campaign to become the oldest host.
And don't skimp on the rum.
The most unlikely host was an 80-year-old grandmother from Louisiana. Viewers picked Miskel Spillman as the winner of the show's Anyone Can Host contest in 1977.
I promise you, I'm going to give you everything.
Dua Lipa's among the 49 performers who've doubled as host and musical guest.
Double the Dua, double the Lipa. Woo!
It's a lot, but I'm just taking it day by day, and I'm just enjoying every moment.
A collection of moments.
Hey, you're the boss. Nice.
That make a week at SNL
as the first ever Egyptian named Rami from New Jersey.
Unlike any other.
It's probably very cliche and cheesy, but it is like a dream come true.
So to get to be a part of it and part of the history, yeah, it's so cool.
A history,
ladies and gentlemen,
that's still being written. Mark Barger, NBC News.
Hey, if they do that Anyone Can Host thing again, Renee, there's your shot. You can get in.
Oh, you would be great.
It is a WRAL weather alert day. Some of us have a low risk for flooding out there. Our team coverage will resume for you after the break.
Plus, flu cases are on the rise. How North Carolina compares with national figures. First, here's a look at the winning lottery numbers.
That steady to heavy rain we saw this morning is bringing a low-end risk of flooding for us this afternoon.
We have live team coverage of the WRAL Weather Alert Day. Brett Neese is tracking wet roads at this hour from the WRAL Storm Tracker. We begin with meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner. Elizabeth, where's the rain now?
The rain right now is moving east toward the coast, but we do have another round of rain that's back to the west. You can start to see a little bit of that creeping toward the Triad area, and when we widen out the view, you'll see it is going to be knocking on our door pretty quickly. I would expect to see that rain around 2 to 3 o'clock, moving back into our viewing area. So it'll be steady and heavy for the evening commute. Of course, we do have the storm tracker out. Brett Neese here, right along US 1 and 540 with a look at how conditions are right now. And Brett, I know it's nice to have a little lull in the rain, but I know the streets are still wet out there.
That's right, Elizabeth. And we were chasing the back end of one of those showers up in the Wake Forest area. It's, of course, moved out like you just showed. And the roads, though, as we just jumped on 540, they are still pretty wet. And some slick spots out there. We do see some areas where there is some water that has piled up a little bit, ponded on the side of the roads. But Wet roads right now, not having to use the windshield wipers at this current moment, which is good news. But of course, we're expecting things to change and that evening commute to be much worse. We're going to have the WRAL storm tracker out all evening long. Check back in with us on those evening newscasts, Elizabeth.
All right, Brett, thanks for being out there. I know during the evening commute it's going to be an issue, so it'll be nice to have the storm tracker letting you know where the conditions look the worst. Hey, how about some warmer temperatures? It's been so chilly the last few days. Here's the warm air. The warm front will lift northward. That will help to produce more rain later on today, but it'll actually also help to deliver some warmer air. So futurecast looking dry at the moment, but as we get into the 2-3 o'clock hour, notice that rain starting to push in across our area, moving from west to east, and that warm front will be coming through. Gradually, temperatures will either hold steady or start to climb overnight tonight, so it's not likely to get any colder than it is right now. And as we get through this evening, we'll continue to see the rain, but it will taper off overnight tonight. Right now, it's 36 in Roxborough and South Hill, 38 Rocky Mount and Goldsboro, 37 in Southern Pines. So it's still chilly and raw, but it is nice to have a little break in the precipitation. We're going to hold it right there in the low 40s for the remainder of the day once we climb up into the low 40s. And again, we'll be tracking some showers for tomorrow morning, and I'll show you when we could see some thunderstorms coming up.
Elizabeth, thanks. Make sure you have the WRAL News app with notifications turned on. We will alert you to changing weather conditions and traffic issues across the viewing area.
Doctors' visits for the flu nationwide are at a 15-year high, and North Carolina is no different. Just moments ago, the state released the weekly flu and COVID report, and WRAL's Ken Smith tells us what was in it, Ken.
Yeah, Jeff, sadly, the new information just released indicates 2 children between the ages of 5 and 17 have died from the flu, one in central North Carolina, the other in eastern North Carolina. State health leaders say the state also recorded 171 adult flu-related deaths to date for a total of 173. By the numbers, hospital visits for the flu were down, but significantly higher than last year, the virus making up 12.3% of all emergency room visits. More than 1,600 patients were treated for the flu last week, which is down slightly from the previous week. Doctors in the Triangle agree we're seeing a second peak of the flu season, and the number of cases are particularly high this year. Dr. Daniel Park has said the timing is very similar to pre-pandemic levels. Now, state leaders urging vaccinations for children 6 months and older, and they're encouraging everyone to get a flu shot.
Ken, thanks. A warning from the state's dental board. They are seeing a rise in people posing as dentists. They take your money and perform unlicensed work.
I think it's all over the state.
WRAL investigates the efforts the board is taking to protect patients and the red flags to watch out for.
Wake County teachers are holding a rally today to push for school building repairs. The Association of Educators says over 25 schools have at least once this year, due to excessive cold, closed because of heat or cold. They also say staff has reported other unsafe conditions due to mold, pests, or security issues. They are demanding a bond resolution from the Board of County Commissioners to fund those improvements. Today's rally is at 5:30 at Raleigh Moravian Church.
Cash compensation for flyers. Why protections for you when flights are delayed or canceled may be up in the air.
Mandating movie theater transparency. Why one state is considering making theaters disclose those times of when the previews start and when the actual movie starts. Big airlines want the Trump administration to scrap the review of whether carriers should compensate passengers for flight disruptions. That review began in December under the Biden administration. Under the proposed rule, airlines would have to pay those passengers at least $200 in cash. They'd also have to provide rebooking at no extra cost and cover expenses for things like meals and lodging. Disney's eliminating DEI language, which will impact older movies on Disney+. Right now, those movies include a warning that indicates the films include, quote, negative depictions and or mistreatment of people or cultures. The new warning reads, the content, quote, is presented as originally created and may contain stereotypes or negative depictions. Disney's also eliminating an initiative aimed at amplifying underrepresented voices known as Reimagine Tomorrow.
Movie theaters in one state could be required to advertise when a film actually starts. A state senator in Connecticut submitted a bill to his General Assembly calling for theaters to provide 2 start times, one for when the previews start and one for when the movie actually starts. If approved, it would only impact theaters in his state. However, similar bills could be submitted across the nation. Some movie theater owners say if the bill is passed, it may be bad for business. But do you want to sit through 15, 20 minutes of previews, right? Amazon is testing a new shopping feature that will direct shoppers to other brands' websites if Amazon doesn't carry the product. The feature will be activated for just a select group of customers. Amazon will show products in search results even if it doesn't sell them and will link to the retailer's website. Shoppers can click through and check the item, pricing, and delivery options, and then buy from that directly.
This is a space swap. NASA moves up the return date of 2 astronauts. How the space agency is accelerating the trip.
And show some love. Why red hearts are lining the streets of Denver's business district. We are checking in on the peak of good living at 1242. Hello, Apex. You can see the roads are still damp. We could see another wave of rain later this afternoon. You're watching WRAL News, available on Spectrum and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device.
Our Teacher of the Week is one of the original educators at the Vernon Malone College and Career Academy from when it opened in 2014. WRAL's Ken Smith introduces us to a Wake County teacher whose military background is the foundation of his career in education.
So thinking about the building, any of the expenses.
When Jason Schlafer enlisted in the military when he was not much older than his current students, he didn't know that experience would eventually lead him to the classroom.
Just being to travel in so many different places around the world really brought my interest and sparked it in history and governments and policies and how things worked and all the things going on in the world.
Schlafer teaches honors classes in civic literacy, economics, and personal finance at Vernon Malone College and Career Academy.
It depends on what is a part of the startup costs.
He's known for engaging his students in real-world life lessons, like the time he secured a grant that helped him and his students build a race car that was part of a STEM initiative: science, technology, engineering, and math.
We had a marketing team, we had a social media team, so we had different people doing different things, so it really got to incorporate a lot of different students.
21 years and counting in the classroom, Schlafer says teaching energizes him.
I love being around the students. I love this school. I love my job. I really do. I might wake up in the morning tired, but by the time I leave here, I'm pumped up.
Mr. Schlafer, you are WRAL's Teacher of the Week. Give him a hand.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations. Ken Smith, WRAL News.
Kids, look up stoicism. There he is. Perfect. Hey, if you'd like to nominate a Teacher of the Week, go to WRAL.com, enter Teacher of the Week in the search box.
NASA has set a new return date for astronauts Sunny Williams and Butch Wilmore. The new launch date for Crew 10 is March 12th. That's 8 months after they left Earth for what was supposed to be, remember, a 10-day mission. The two are expected to arrive on Earth a few days later following a handover period with the Crew 9 mission. NASA left Williams and Wilmore on the ISS after problems with the Boeing Starliner capsule. Their stay was extended again because SpaceX's new Crew capsule is not ready. Well, NASA's Curiosity rover recently sent back images of some pretty neat clouds from Mars. What you're looking at here are called twilight clouds. That's because they are too faint to be seen in daylight and only come out during the early evening. Something scientists are still working to understand is why twilight clouds are only seen in early fall in the planet's southern hemisphere. Either way, fascinating.
We can get them anytime here, especially all day yesterday, all day today, clouds everywhere, and they are producing some rain. Elizabeth Gardner in the WRS Severe Weather Center right now. Low level chance for flooding out there. That's our weather alert day.
Yeah, I think it's trying our patience a little bit here. You know, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 3 days in a row of some cool temperatures. And we did see a little bit of sunshine Monday afternoon. Tomorrow afternoon, we should break out of the clouds. So we do have that to look forward to, and it should be a good bit warmer. Fayetteville is cloudy right now. We've not seen as much rain in our southern counties with this particular pattern, but Raleigh, Apex, Chapel Hill have have all been wet in Chapel Hill's courtesy of Top of the Hill Restaurant. Just a little break in the precipitation, little dry period, but look at what's happening back to the west. We have more rain that arrives here around 2 to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The warm front starts to lift northward, pushing more of that rain in, but it will also help to deliver some warmer temperatures, which will be nice to see. So a little break in the precipitation right now, but there is still some water out on the roads, and so Storm Tracker is out right now just south of the Beltline. We can take a look at the streets there, and you can see how things are looking wet there in the parking lot as the Storm Tracker is out. So just note that it is wet. It is chilly out there. Temperatures upper 30s to low 40s, so you want to bundle up and keep the umbrella handy, because as you're heading out of work this afternoon, this evening, it is likely to be wet. It's nice to have that overhang there, isn't it, to keep folks dry. All right, let's come back and take a look at our weather alert day. You know, we've had enough rain that some of the places that flood pretty regularly when it rains are probably on the flooded side, but at the moment, some of that rain may have receded because we've seen a little break over the last couple of hours. Temperatures are below normal. We'll see temperatures holding in the low 40s. We would normally be in the mid to upper 50s for today. We had some heavier rain this morning. We're going to see another round for the evening commute. Here's a look at Futurecast, and we'll put it into motion. Again, watching some of that rain that's to our west right now, moving in between 2 and 3 o'clock. It may be heavy around the evening commute. There's 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, a little bit of yellow starting to show up there. It continues all through the evening. If you had plans to be out around dinner time, it is still likely to be fairly wet. But once we get to midnight or so, it may dry out just briefly. So far, in the last 2 days, we've seen over 1.25 inches in Pittsboro and 4 Oaks, a little over 1 inch in Garner and Rocky Mount, Lewisburg at 0.9 of an inch, and about 0.85 there in Dunn. So we continue to see rain the first half of the day, Thursday, and then Thursday afternoon and Friday look nice and dry, but there's more rain in the forecast for the weekend. Futurecast showing dry conditions first thing in the morning, but by the time we get to 6 or 7 o'clock, we begin to see some showers roll through. Could be a few rumbles of thunder along with this warm front. Temperatures will be on the mild side tomorrow morning, and then some clearing gradually during the afternoon, and our temperatures should climb into the mid 60s. So that's going to feel so much better. We still have the potential for rain tomorrow as well as Saturday and Sunday to add up to 1 inch in our southern counties and up to 2 more inches in our northern counties. So we're not totally done with it yet this week. Saturday are a bit rainy and cool, but another front comes through on Sunday with a high near 70 degrees. Right now, it looks dry on Monday and Tuesday, but temperatures are cool for President's Day.
And we continue our walk down memory lane here. A little earlier, we asked you what you remember from the 2014 snowpocalypse. Sean Kay says we had just moved to Rayford from California. Same day we were moving into the new house in the snowstorm.
And Miles from Durham says, I couldn't get over that people were abandoning their cars on the road and walking. He says, I am used to driving in snow, so I had no issues. It took me 5.5 hours to get from Morrisville to Capitol Boulevard 540. Lots and lots of gridlock on that day.
What AI can tell you is what is going to be the most beneficial to you, because they can see what people are responding to.
All computer love, how AI is helping more and more people find their special person.
The winning Mega Millions numbers are 7, 30, 39, 41, 70. The Mega Ball is 13 and the Megaplier is 3.
I'm just getting ready for the water cannons out there for that flight arriving from Jamaica. 2:20 this afternoon, the first of Velo's flight coming into RDU International this afternoon. One of 2 round-trip flights to the Caribbean, Punta Cana being added as well. Gray skies for that. Hopefully it stops raining for the water cannon salute.
Jamaica's calling.
Right, I can hear it. We're wrapping things up here with a look at a few of the headlines for you today. Today is a WRAL weather alert day with that rain moving across our area. You saw it down there in Pinehurst as well. Pinehurst Resort and Country Club. Pinehurst number 2 there. Probably getting some play because people are hardy when they get out there, but it's nasty. We're expecting to see more waves of rain move through around the evening commute. The WRAL Severe Weather Team will have any updates to the forecast posted throughout the day on WRAL.com and on the WRAL News app. And you can listen to News Plus on the radio anywhere in the Triangle, 101.5 HD3.
A new report out shows you are paying more for goods and services than you were a year ago. Inflation hit 3% for the first time since June. The new data shows inflation has remained above the Fed's 2% target for roughly the past 6 months. Inflation also worsened on a monthly basis, with prices jumping 0.5% in January.
Many Wake County teachers are calling on state lawmakers to make much needed improvements. The North Carolina Association of Educators plans to rally on that later today. NCAE staff has reported other unsafe conditions, including mold, pests, and security issues. The district has pointed to understaffing and aging equipment for the HVAC issues.
If you're looking for love before Valentine's Day, you might find help using artificial intelligence. Some people who use dating apps are leaning on AI to get their love life off the ground. Whether it's optimizing the experience with a profile setup, selecting the best photos, or helping to flirt with potential partners. Dating strategists say AI can increase the number of matches.
There are matchmaking algorithms, there are virtual dating assistants, so that people can feel like they have a lot of interests and something in common, which is a building block and an offspring for people to actually connect.
There are some pitfalls because people are relying on the so-called swipe culture to connect. People are also losing a sense of body language and how to hold a conversation.
A famous stretch of road in Denver is getting some Valentine's Day love. Check it out. 75 hearts now line a portion of Colfax Avenue. They were installed by the Business Improvement District. It has been going through some hard times due to a bus rapid transit construction project. The hearts contain personal messages from the people who bought them. Leaders hope the hearts help draw some people to that area.
Our pet of the day from Cat Angels NC excels at hugs and chasing the red dot. This is Phoenix here. This handsome 5-year-old orange tabby loves playing with his brother, who he hopes to be adopted with. Phoenix was recently treated for a urinary blockage, but he's all better now. He's on prescription food and transdermal medication. If you'd like to meet the sweetheart in person, just fill out an application on the Cat Angels website.
If you want to save some money and eat healthier, it may not happen on Valentine's Day weekend, but coming up on WRAL News at 4, 5 on your side shows you how to food prep smarter and stretch your budget. It can be done.
Dip those strawberries in chocolate. See, that's very healthy.
Right.
And a nice romantic dish. All right, we're stuck with the clouds and these cold temperatures. Tomorrow we'll get a nice warm up, though.
Almost 70 we could hit. I don't know. I'm waiting on that one. It'd be a big change.
Cannot wait. Or there's always that flight to Jamaica. NBC News Daily is next on WRAL. Your next local news update in 30 minutes.
You can also get breaking news updates anytime with our WRAL News app. Thanks for sharing your lunch hour with us. Have a great day.
Stay safe with the latest WRAL Weather Alert Day info. Get up to the minute weather and traffic conditions when you get in your car. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM. In Durham, 96.5